Hey everybody, so it's exam season coming up. It could be your mock exams, it could be your real exams, and this video is going to be looking at component 3 for GCSE drama. The board that I'm specifically looking at is Eduqas, but there might be some tips and things that will help you with other boards as well. The other thing to be aware of, obviously, is, these are my way of approaching questions. Other people, and if you're not one of my students, other teachers might have different ways of approaching it. That's fine, get some advice from different places, see what style works for you, because everyone has a different way of approaching these particular things. Now, the very first thing that I would say to you is if you are doing Eduqas as an exam board, they have some really good exam walkthroughs on their websites. So do go through and have a look through them. It's a PowerPoint. Actually, if you go directly to the website, you can click on and get audio if you have PowerPoint as well. And they essentially walk you through the paper and they describe what it's going to look like. So all papers are going to have instructions on the front. They give you suggested times at the bottom. So they suggest for section A that you are going to want to use an hour and 5 minutes, and for section B you're going to use 25 minutes. We will talk about timing sort of as we go through this particular video. This video itself is going to be focusing on short answer questions for section A. So section A, when you open your paper, you'll see a grid right at the front of it, and it will point you to the right pages for your set text. So make sure that you have read that and you're not trying to answer questions on a set text that you haven't done. I have seen it done before. So make sure that you are going to your set text. Now, what they will have done for this year, 2025 and onwards, is they're going to be printing the extract in the actual paper. It always used to be that you take in a clean copy of the text, which you will have this year still, because you need it for later on. And they would give you the starting line, finishing line, you'd find it in the text and you'd write from that. But this year it will be different. There will be an extract that we printed in the text. So if you've been doing kind of mock papers, it is going to look slightly different to it. So don't be thrown off by that. I have also known exam boards to change their style of paper slightly as well, but how they've written the numbers and stuff like that, which has thrown people in the past. So just be prepared for anything. The most important thing is that you are reading questions. So once you've found your set text, you're actually going to go through and you're going to read the questions through before you do anything, because they do tend to group questions together and you don't want to be repeating yourself because you haven't read the next question fully. So go through, read through the questions and go with a highlighter pen or your black pen. And highlight your keywords that you need to remember to use within your answer, or the commands that it's given you. We'll go through that a little bit more when we're looking at questions in particular. But do take a few minutes to do that before you do anything, because then it will get your head in the right space. Now, some people say to me, should I start with the longer questions and then go back to the shorter questions? Now, some teachers say, yeah, do that, get those done because they're the big hitting marks. I just don't recommend it personally. That's just me. I don't recommend it because the shorter questions are there for a reason. They're there to kind of get you into writing, essentially. The first few questions are only 1 and 2 markers. So they are there purely to kind of get you into the swing, get you into the right headspace, get you embedding that vocabulary into your work quickly. You've got some quick gains. You can whiz through those questions quite quickly. And then you're kind of in a bit of a flow when you come to your 12 marker, 15 marker, 10 marker, whatever they decide to do, because they can do whatever they want. And I think you're in a much better place then to answer those questions. So my personal opinion is follow the paper and go through with the smaller marks first. But everybody is different. You might find that you want to do the 15 markers first. But yeah, my preference would be to start with section A, start with the smaller ones, and get yourself into the swing of the exam and in the right headspace for your playtext. So we're looking at short answer questions, right? So that's the first bit now that we're going to look at. Because there aren't many mock papers available for this, I'm actually, I've written a whole load of papers. So I'm going to be looking at those with you today. So the first one that we're looking at is a paper where it's reading from page 13 for Find Me. The lights come up on mark to end of page 15. So now when they do your section A, it can be anything between 4 and 5 questions. The first 1 to 3, 1 to 4 questions are generally all based on the given extract. The kind of 4th or 5th question is going to be a wider extract answer. And that one you can't use the extract that you've been doing. So just be aware that that first stack of questions are all going to be about the extracts, and make sure you focus in on that. Now, for example, it could be that your question 1, so say it was text number 2, it would be called 21. Okay, and then you would normally have an I and an II question. You might have an III question, which is what I've given you for our examples today. So it could be that the first question is saying, name 2 rehearsal techniques that a director could use to prepare an actor for the role of Mark in this extract. And it is worth 2 marks. The 2 marks are in brackets at the side. Now, do you know what? I don't need to give a lot of fluff on this. I don't need to really pad out these answers. It's just asking me for 2 rehearsal techniques. Now, you could say 2 rehearsal techniques a director would use are, and you'd say maybe something like hot seating and a conscience corridor. So you could do it that way if you want. You'd get 1 mark for hot seating, another mark for conscience corridor. However, you could just write hot seating, conscience corridor. Yeah, 2 marks, get it out of the way. Nice and easy. Now, the common mistake that people make here when there's sometimes a rehearsal technique question is they haven't read the second part of the question, which would be, say, 21 II, which would then say, explain how these 2 techniques help to prepare the actor for this role in performance. And that one's worth 4 marks. What a lot of people tend to do is in that first question, they will give the answer to the second one as well. Then they come on to the second question and go, oh, I've just written that. So that's why I'm saying make sure you read through these questions first. So question I, you would put your two techniques. So you'd say hot seating and conscience corridor. You could use any other ones. I'm just using those. Doesn't actually matter if you use some of the basic ones. You don't have to be clever in these exams. You just have to get the marks and tick things off. So that would be my first thing. I've just stated it. Then in my second one, I can see that it's for 4 marks. So I know that 2 marks are going to be for one rehearsal technique. 2 marks are going to be for another rehearsal technique. So I might say something along the lines of with hot seating, that with hot seating, this gives the actor a way of understanding how the character would speak. So that's my first point. They would then know to use for Mark in this extract a harsh tone of voice with a high pitch. Okay, so that's going to be my second one. A conscience corridor could be used by doing, by showing the different viewpoints that the character has going on in this head. From this, my character would know that their proxemics need to be slightly further away from verity at this point. So that's my 2 marks. So I've given 4 points there, and I've got 4 marks. And that's it. I don't need to go into therefore, moreover, I would have it so that, get rid of all those small little words. It's not an English essay. We're just trying to be fast on these single mark questions, okay? So then it could be that my third one is explain how proxemics could be used by the actors in this extract to help communicate the relationship between the characters. So I've got 5 marks. So I want to link it to a line. and I want to give an example. So if there were 3 characters, I probably want to give 1 line and 1 example of how proxemics could be used for each of those characters. If there were 2 characters, I maybe want to give sort of 2 examples for one and 1 for another, but I want to make sure that I'm covering off 5 points and demonstrating that I understand the kind of relationship within this piece. I'm also going to make sure, because it says proxemics, I'm going to be using the word proxemics within my writing. Because it says to communicate the relationship between the characters, I'm going to make sure that I'm using that in my answer. So it could be these proxemics would help to communicate the relationship between Mark and so because. All right, so I'm demonstrating I have definitely answered this question. All right, and I'm looking at 5 points. So on the second part of this question that we are looking at, or this paper that we're looking at, my sort of, I've got it marked as B on here, but it would come up as, say, 22I, 22II, 22III. I'm going to make sure I've read that clump of questions to see if any of them relate to each other, so that I'm not repeating myself in an exam question. So on these particular ones, it says, briefly describe Jean's relationship with Verity. That's 2 marks. The second one is explain how 1 line in the extract illustrates this. That's 3 marks. And then 3, suggest a suitable costume for Jean in this scene and explain how it could be used to show how she is feeling. My temptation would be, on the briefly describe Jean's relationship with Verity, if I hadn't read the other questions, I'm probably going to say it's like this, because if you look at this line, it says, well, I don't need to do that because I know I'm doing that in my second question. So I just need to give 2 things that describe Jean's relationship with Verity, basing it from a bit of evidence, if I can, from text, but basically really giving my knowledge of what is going on during that extract at that time. It says briefly. It's not expecting you to do massive paragraphs for this. It's worth 2 marks. Just give me 2 pointers. Just tell me 2 things about the relationship with this character. Then on the next line, my command words are explain. Explain how 1 line in this extract illustrates this. So it's 3 marks. 1 of those marks is going to be for the line itself, and 2 of those marks are going to be for the explanation. So I want to make sure that I'm pulling out 2 different things on that explanation. So my 1 line, it could be a line that somebody speaks. It could be a line from stage directions. Right, so it can be either of those. So I'm going to say a line that illustrates this relationship is, I'm going to give that line, and I'm going to say 1 way that this illustrates this is because it demonstrates that, or it shows that, blah, 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 blah. Another way is because so and so and so. So I'm just linking 2 points to it. It really is as simple as that. I don't need to go into massive in-depth things, talking about lighting, sound, everything else, because it's not asking me that. So 3 marks, give me 3 points, 1 of them being the line, 2 pointers to back that up. Okay, the 4th one in this is suggest a suitable costume for Jean in this scene and explain how it could be used to show how she is feeling. So 4 marks. So I want to make sure that I am talking, I'm giving 4 things. You're probably going to do more than that when it comes to costume, to be honest. And you want to kind of go from head to toe, if you can, work your way down the body so that you're talking about things. Remembering what's the style of the play? Is it a play where people are multi-rolling, in which case I need to take that into account because they're maybe not going to be in a full costume. Maybe it's a symbolic costume that's going to suggest that they're a doctor or they're a consultant or something in a scene. I want to talk about the texture of material. I want to talk about the colour of material. I want to know whether it's silk because that kind of tells me it's luxury, or I want to know whether it's a harsh wool because maybe that gives me a completely different connotation. I want to know whether it's a really deep red. I want to know whether it's a stark white. Is it a pale blue? Is that going to be affected under lighting? I don't know. But also I want to know the era. What era is this set in? So tell me that you understand what you are designing for. Okay, so all of those things you need to consider. And if you think about it, once you've considered all of that and you've only got 4 pointers really that you're making to get those 4 marks, then, you know, you've got quite a lot that you can write about them. But do remember, you're basing it at this moment in the text because it is saying to show how she is feeling. So it could be that it's that it is symbolic. That maybe she's wearing red at some point to show anger and frustration. So that could be something to show how she is feeling at that particular point. Okay, so remember, if you can, link it to something from that extract. Show all the time that you were linking into the extract that you were reading and that you understand it. So that's a very quick whistle-stop tour on how to kind of answer these questions. If you're thinking about vocabulary, make sure that you're looking at my video that shows you how to very quickly embed vocabulary into work. I have put exam timings into the comments to give you a bit of a steer for questions and how you can, you know, use your time wisely when you're doing stuff. Some of these are, you know, seconds. If it's a 1 marker question asking you for rehearsal techniques, you can get that done super quick. So yeah, just have a look at those different things. If you've got any questions, just put them in the comments below and I will try and get back to you. But the main thing is try not to panic. Remember, these are your ideas. As long as you can put them down on paper, then people can't disagree with you unless it's completely irrelevant to the text. Then they can disagree with you. But, you know, it is your ideas. You've just got to make sure that the examiner can see those ideas and actually see what it is that you are trying to say on the page. If you are having that moment of panic, just picture yourself in your drama studio or in your drama classroom. What did you do when you were exploring this text? Take a deep breath and it will all come back to you. It's all good. You've got this. Any questions, just write below.